Next week we will have Cecilia Golden here, who's one of the assistant deputy superintendent in charge of curriculum, and she lives across the street from me. So
we've been over. What, next week you said?
Next month, I should
next
say.
month.
Sorry, it seems like it's always next week. They go by so fast at my age, you know. But okay, let's. We usually start off by going around and introducing ourselves. My name's John Boutte. I'm with the Southwest Common Council Education Committee, and I sit on John Lang's 19th Ward Schools Committee, and we've been at this since they had closed School 16 a while back.
My name is Brian Babcock, and I am a parent of 3 kids at RCSD, one who's graduating this year, and a first grader and a pre-K. And we are just advocates for public education and like to talk about all the wonderful things that are happening in RCSD to combat the negative narratives that are all over.
Great.
Yep.
I'm Kristen Babcock, and same thing.
Very good.
And I'm Frank McCollum. I'm new to your group. I've been here in Rochester for the past 40-some-odd years, and I'm worked at Kodak for 31 years as a film emulsion maker, and also I was working for First Student. I was a monitor on the buses, and just recently resigned from there. And now I'm just enjoying retirement.
Great. Hope you'll enjoy it with us.
Okay, Joe Baldino. John referred to my career that I met John and John. And October, I'll finish my 40th year in the district. I started out as a per diem sub, and I like it a lot. It's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of pockets of excellence, and I've been parts of a lot of those. I was at Wilson Magnet, which is a good pocket of excellence. We're bringing that down to School 29 to talk a little more about the school on the agenda. And I'm happy to be here. Enjoy the meetings immensely.
Yeah, John Lang worked on the Schools Committee for the 19th Ward for a long time now, it seems. I'm also retired skiing. This is the result of a face plant.
Oh, I was wondering that this morning.
Icy conditions too, probably this time.
It wasn't bad.
Nice.
It was better than I skied it, apparently.
There you go. I tried that.
So those things happen.
Mike Shen, I'm the Chief Operating Officer with the school district, and I oversee the facilities of the district, certainly all the facility modernization, construction, our student safety division, transportation, food service, and information and technology.
My name is Eleanor Coleman. I'm with Catholic Family Center's Youth Build construction program for 17 to 24-year-olds, the Rotary Southwest. And I can also report on OASIS.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Avra Little, and I'm new to this meeting. I'm a resident of the 19th Ward, and I work for a local nonprofit as a youth mental health counselor, and I also work part-time at the Southwest Y, so I know John from that.
Yeah.
We must.
Okay, you've got, there should be agendas for everyone there. As I said, if you go online and take a look at the agenda that we have posted for this meeting, it'll be up till midnight, and then it kind of looks like it's gone, but you really can go and look at past meeting announcements and see it. The items that are in red there are links to various things like the community school. One is a link to an article by Tim Macaluso, and then there's one that reviews some of the budget issues. There's the one for our online petition, which hopefully you've all signed by this point. there's a real nice article on the children's agenda that gives you hope that things are moving in the right direction. And so anyways, those are some of the things that are on here. So, the latest developments in the budget. I don't know if you've seen the thing that right now that is very pertinent to what we're doing is we've been pushing for having community schools. Mike was good enough to, and the architects, when they redid School 16, they've built it so that there is the potential for a community center there. The gym and the cafeteria and the corridor that links them could be sealed off from the school, so you do after-school activities. And we had tried to get the city to look at providing some supervision to open it up after hours. That hasn't come to fruition yet. It looked like it was going to for a while, but that's something for us to keep in mind. Next week we will have Betsy Romson back, who is a great advocate for playgrounds and summer activities, and she will chastise me that I don't have a rec center set up for the summer yet. Any hope of doing that? Have you heard anything from?
I actually have not.
No.
I think what you pointed out though is very accurate. The majority of the projects that we're currently working on, we kind of use the term, instead of going into rec center, because that brings a whole nother level of supervision and shared spaces and memorandum understanding and so forth. That what we tried to do is all the different buildings would have areas that would be locked off from the rest of the school. So common area spaces like the library, the cafeteria, and the gym would be, so to speak, available, and the nurses suite would be available after hours for community events, and if we're doing some sort of a health clinic type of thing. Certainly recreation activities in the gymnasium. As an auditorium, we try to make that part of the same block of space, and so people can come and go in those areas and not have to open up the entire building, which saves on resources and also makes for a more secure facility. And I think the other piece that we're really trying to work through is making sure all those spaces are all air conditioned whenever possible. Air conditioning is very expensive, not only to put in a building, but also to the operational costs are exorbitant when you think about the square footage that we have. So those are kind of some of the key principles. So if you look at school number 10, school number 2, school number 4, all have those as kind of the core model, as well as 54. School 7 has that, so we've been very consistent in phase 2 with those, and that's the plan for phase 3 as well.
Great. Great. Yeah, the thing that we will have to look into is, I know right now School 16 has Quad A, which I'm not sure if everybody here is familiar with Quad A, but it provides after hours sort of enrichment for the students so they can stay till, 5 o'clock or something
Usually
like
it's about 2 or 2.5 hours that the direct programs are that are in the building, kind of directly affiliated with the school, which there's kind of 2 different entities, right? So there's an actual rec center, Ryan Center, Adams Street, and Flint Street, and so forth, that's actually attached to the building, which is city-run and is shared space. And I could give you an example in phase 3 what we're going to do. And then the after-school programming, which is available to the students that attend that particular school, and then we provide transportation for them at the end. So it's pretty much 2 or 2.5 hours after the school day ends. And I would say probably, let's say, about 40% of our elementary schools and K-8 buildings have some sort of an after-school program or are attached, obviously, to an existing rec center. Maybe even a little higher than that.
Okay, good.
But 16 is part of this then.
It's got Quad A,
Yeah, okay.
and that was one of the things that we found out as we were going along. You can't really have a rec center and Quad A there at the same time because they're using some of the same facilities. But certainly, it's something that we could look at. What do we do this summer to make sure that it's fully utilized? There's also been questions about whether some of the city school pools in the summer are available, and
I can speak to that as well. So if the city wanted to take on a recreation program, so to speak, or give some more access to a particular building, they have full. They actually own the buildings, so they certainly have full access in terms of being able to, utilize that particular space. So in order, when they have the staff there, they would be able to do whatever it is they would like to do. And we have those arrangements in a couple of buildings. I think you brought up the pools as well. So all the pools, unless we're actually doing work in the particular building, are open and accessible for a whole variety of hours. City Rec takes on most of those responsibilities. So I don't think this summer we're only going to have one pool actually offline, the Edison pool. But for the most part, everything else will be accessible.
okay.
So,
Does the old Madison here, Wilson Foundation have a pool?
Yes.
It has a pool like that. I've never seen it in there. I've been in there many times,
it's gorgeous.
because that's something that we should look at making
Yeah, they're great
available.
resources. I mean, I think we have 11 in the city that are indoor pools. And they're just, when you think about that, it's a wonderful resource that I'm not so sure people take full advantage of. As a swimmer, I'm somewhat of a triathlete.
Yeah, our kids actually did lessons, and it was over at Madison. or
Yeah?
Wilson Foundation.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much easier to call it that.
The only other thing I was going to mention in phase 3, so in terms of facilities, and I think we're going to talk about transportation in a moment, but in terms of facilities, we completed the phase 1, that was like 12 or 13 buildings. We're just about the final stages of phase 2. We've got 3 buildings that will be done in the probably by November of 19, School 2 and School 4, maybe 10, although I'm not quite as ambitious around number 10. I think that's going to be summer of 20. But those schools will be completed and more or less ready to be moved into. And the last 3 schools in the phase would be obviously number 10, School 54, and East High School. East will be completed probably in 2021. It's more of a staging issue there, so the kids are moving inside the building. There's swing spaces right there. In phase 3, which legislation has been submitted, it's being I was using the word chaperone, that's not the right word, sponsored by SMU and GAN on the assembly side, and we're going to secure obviously a Senate sponsor, and then we're hopeful for passage of that by June and a governor's signature by June of 19, which will allow us to we have a couple of shovel-ready things right now that we're ready to start. Pool at Monroe, which will be a new pool, a new gymnasium at Franklin, which allows us to have, right now, a building that size only has one actual gymnasium in the building, so a second gymnasium will allow us to have 2 schools or even 3 schools in that building and be able to utilize much more of those common spaces. And some site work at School 54. So if you're familiar with where 54 is, the former Inoda Street, kind of a little bit down from Jefferson, what we want to do is build a bus loop. Kids are getting off at Inoda Street. It's not safe. Not safe enough for me anyway. So we're going to do a bus loop, and then we're looking to expand some of the footprint in the back of the building for parking and so forth. That would be so that's in the master plan. I can't discuss the property acquisition, obviously, but certainly that's the goal, is to kind of move everything to the back of the building, playgrounds and so forth, so the front of the building would have access. And the other schools, there's several schools in this in this zone, so to speak. School number 3, which has a rec center, so the rec center and the school will be completely renovated. School number 19.
That's phase 3.
These are all projects in phase 3, hopefully signed by June of 19. School 19 will also be fully renovated. If you drive by School 19 now, you can see the front entrance has been done, and that brownish paneling on the outside. So that'll be completed all around the building. Everything will be renovated inside the building. And our our finished renovation, because we've done quite a bit internally with our team, and then the rec center as well, which, you know, there's a lot of TLC that site certainly needs. Significant parking needs, and the field down below, which kind of borders on Jefferson and down from below the rail of the school, needs quite a bit of TLC as well. So we're looking at some options there. The other school, and school number 29 certainly is the third one, and Wilson commencement. I think those are the ones that are kind of in this particular area. So 3, 29, 19, and Wilson commencement.
44 didn't get onto that list, I
Did not
take
get
it.
onto this list. Commencement is a very ambitious project. It'll probably be a 3-year project. Maybe we can press into 2 years. A complete renovation of the building, but keeping the historical texture of the facility, but modernizing all the classrooms and kind of right-sizing some of that we need. Some of the classrooms are a little undersized in the building. Air conditioning, as well as all new mechanical systems. So that's and when it's done, if you've not been in the new Monroe School, it'll look like Monroe when it's done, which was a huge project. So we're talking probably $92 to almost $100 million to renovate that facility. It's great to have older buildings; they're beautiful. It's also very expensive to modernize them.
Mhm.
So, and then Joe's School number 29. The timing of it is, and if you go to the website in the master plan, it'll kind of outline. The timing is still probably a little bit in flux. I mentioned swing space. So we've had our best success with taking a school and moving it to an alternate location. So our swing spaces now are Jefferson, Marshall, a portion of Freddie Thomas, and a portion of Franklin. Those are the 4 spots that we use. And we're able to move entire schools and expedite the renovations. And with our MCA victory, we can do the entire building and not have to kind of do it in sections, so to speak, right? You can only do it 5 years. The MCA would reset and maximum cost allowance. I'm sorry, not too many acronyms. And so this will allow us to fully renovate the building like we did with 16 and like we're going to do number 10. So that's we've made great progress with that. So those schools will all be somewhat, it's probably a six-year project, and we've been able to, the last part of this, I think, I would comment, we've been able to do all these projects on time, certainly, and either on or under budget. And by being under budget, we're able to take some of the alternates that are in there. So adding air conditioning, for example, to school number 2's gymnasium is one of the alternates. And there's other things like that that are kind of bid separately. So there's a base bid and alternates, and the better our base bid is, the more bids we get, the more alternates we can put into the project. So, and we've been very successful so far. If you remember, for those who've been here a long time, the first phase was a little bit of a few bumps at the beginning, so I've been here now 6 years, and it's really gone seamlessly. I sit as the vice chair on the Joint School Construction Board, which gets us a school district perspective in the decision-making part of it. So our instructional program and so forth is kind of brought in our responsibility for special education. So it's not just a physical project; it's much more instruction generated. So that kind of gives you a real brief summary as to where we are.
Here's your question, Mike. I have to wait for the governor to sign.
Yeah.
School 29, we're supposed to begin this summer.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to leave in 2020.
Yes.
Is that still the plan?
So in phase 2, which was not very long ago, it was only in 2015, I think, whatever it was. That basically went right down to the last day. So all the legislations get passed pretty much in the last hour. And the governor, it was the last item I believe the governor signed before they closed the session. So it could go right to the end. This is a very large sum of money. We're talking almost over $600 million in this phase. So if we get it signed and we get everything moving, then we will start. As I said, Monroe, Franklin are basically shovel ready, and 29. The infrastructure in 29 is in desperate need of repair. The air conditioning system has reached end of life, and we're kind of holding it together with Band-Aids right now. So that would be the first school in phase 3. It's one of the very few schools that the physical plant is kind of driving us to do something because of the nature of the student needs there in the building. And then their swing space location will be Freddie Thomas, which is an air-conditioned space. So that's a number one priority for us, is to take care of those children and make sure they're in place. So
2020 looks like we're going to be leaving the schools,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Provided everything's signed.
Yep.
And there will be some things starting this summer if the governor signs it.
If we can, we'll start some site work and that type of thing. We want to try to expedite it. We want to try to move it. We've been able to do that pretty well. So that's That's a great question, though.
Well, because we have an inclusive playground, we're doing a good job, and we're gonna be able to raise some funds for that, so we put that on hold, and so I make sure people are asking me a lot of questions, so if I can tell them that, provided it's signed by the governor by June.
And I can come over and talk to, if you have a community meeting or.
All right.
I'm more than happy to do that. It
That'll
can be a
help
little
lot.
complicated.
That would probably help a lot.
Not that I'm any
No, but
wizard
you're the
over
man
it.
that knows a lot of the answers, and that's important.
If I don't know, you're on my camera again.
Well,
Yes,
no.
I know a lot of answers.
Yes.
Hey, we're making a star out of him here.
I've worked with Mike, he's got a lot of credibility.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Are there other questions on the facility side?
Anything else? Yeah, one of the things John and I went over to talk to Katerina Leonino. She's the principal of School 17. Wonderful person. That school seems to really be turning around and making some good progress. And we were there to talk to her because we've been kind of looking at first what we heard from Ralph as to what Ralph had going at 17 when he turned that school around back in the 90s. Then it kind of went downhill, and it's being brought back to top-notch school right now. It's a bilingual school right now. A lot of Hispanic students there, and they've done a lot of work with putting in some of the restorative justice programs that the new the new code of conduct has in it, and that seems to be turning the atmosphere, improving the atmosphere in the school. And the same thing is going on in a lot of our schools, some more aggressively than others. But anyways, we were there to see if she could give us some advice as to what we should be looking at doing with School 16, and it sounds like they had worked very closely with the community association there, and that helped them. She was able to convince the district, or I'm not sure who's paying for the extra busing there, for the local busing. Is it the district itself, or? So they were able to get local busing.
We have what we referred to as walker buses.
Mhm.
That's the term that we use. And School 17 is not the only one that has walker buses. School 17 is currently an expanded day, so it goes 9 to 4:30. And not necessarily neighborhood driven, but certainly it gets dark, right, at 4:30. And there's really, it gets dark pretty early in the fall, and it kind of stays dark until about now. So the walker buses are at all the afternoon expanded day schools, which I think is seven or eight of them right now. So, and that's all, those buses are all what they refer to as being local share. So we get about 90% aid on our transportation budget. That kind of falls into the 10% we don't get any aid on. So if we didn't run those buses, our local share number would come down. But we really are compelled to do it just because of the nature of safety of students and so forth. So it's not necessarily, they certainly partner with the Jazana neighborhood and all the other partners over there. And I've worked very closely with Katerina on it, but it's the transportation was more driven by the time of the day. There was nothing really done special with 17 that we didn't do at 42 school, and I'm thinking of the ones that are involved in this, but there's obviously several more that are the late schools. 44 is a late school, we have walker buses. So that kind of gets, so the 3:30 dismissals do not. It's the expanded 4:30 dismissals that have the walker buses, and then any after-school program that ends at 5:30 or 6, those students are all transported home.
So it has less to do with this idea of it being a neighborhood school, and more to do with the time.
For that particular area, I think to John's point, though, I think that School 17 is really a story about a building kind of re-energizing and becoming the anchor of the neighborhood. So all the neighborhood meetings are held there. We just put a greenhouse in there, built a greenhouse adjacent to the school where they're going to be able to kind of grow their own vegetables there and use them throughout the neighborhood. They have a full service clinic there, which is, so there's a lot of things so that was part of where the advocacy of the neighborhood came in. And there's some other aspects of a community school model. I just didn't want to misrepresent the transportation part, that I think we're only doing it for that school because we're doing it for, I think, 7 or 8 of them. So that's probably the only piece that's not part of that actual piece.
Now, do you bus the kids, the younger kids are bused there in the morning also, right?
Yes, but the walker buses are in the afternoon. So
Mhm.
there are walkers in the morning that come to school. But I can check that to be sure. But certainly all the students after school are bused home.
So anyways,
I guess within reason. I mean, we don't bus them across the street, obviously, so we try to find some middle ground there where, whether it's half a mile or 3/4 mile, whatever it might be, whatever seems reasonable, and every school has its own story.
I think when we talked to her today, when we've written it up before, we talked about how it went from 20% local kids to 77% local kids.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The 77% is for K through 2.
Mhm.
So, and that's sort of how you have to transition into a local building. So they went out, they recruited, they went
Great.
door to door in the neighborhood, either with the principal, staff, volunteers, parents, graduates of the school, who go around and get interest in people coming to the school. And I think that's how they really got that push, the big bump up, which is something I think any school would have to contemplate. Now, they got
Absolutely.
agreement with placement.
Mhm.
The people, if they lived within there, would still could qualify for a bus.
Yes, because of the expanded day model.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So you need those pieces in place to go out, but you also need to go out.
yeah.
Kind of ties into your next point about, just transporting every child.
Yeah.
So I think, that,
If that was a model that wanted to be replicated now, you would, in order to get that busing for the kids that are close by, you'd need an extended day. Is that what I'm hearing?
that's how we've done it over the last couple of years. I would not say that would be the criteria going forward. That's
Okay.
just the current model that we're using.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if we can get the state to change its model
Right.
for reimbursement, then that makes it a lot
Then that
easier. And I'm sure that Buffalo and all these large cities have the same situation. Well, assuming that they have a parent choice, managed choice system, because that's what kind of blew up the situation of kids getting bused all over, is once you gave parents the right to say they want their child to go to that school, then
Into a bus route. So if you move on a week, like next Monday, it'll be some time before
There's
you're
certainly a
back.
delay in that process. It takes about
5
3 to
days.
5 days to kind of turn it around. It kind of depends on the time of the year. We certainly prioritize students with disabilities in terms of getting them done, getting those routes done a little bit sooner. So, but you got to notify, you got to validate addresses, you got to make sure you have a letter to parents, you got to make sure you have the routing completed. We never want to have a situation where we may be dropping off a child at the wrong home. So that's a bit of a safeguard to make sure that all the things are in place. But it does certainly impact a child's education.
Yeah.
So if you move, let's say 5 times over the course of the year, inherently you're going to miss 15 to 20, maybe even 25 school days by that transition, and maybe those children possibly are the most at risk.
yeah, if we could at least try to get kids going to their neighborhood schools, even if they, and the other thing is trying to get the city to work with parents to find some other, dwelling within the neighborhood, because there are some issues with sometimes the landlords intentionally giving somebody the heave-ho because they've complained about leaking pipes or whatever. And so it's not just parents who are moving because they need to work somewhere else.
Well, yeah, and I was going to add that the local economy plays into this too. I mean, we know people that have moved their kids' school because my position changed. Now my hours are different, so I need my kid to go to a school that has wraparound care, that has a different let-out time. So I'm going to use Grandma's address now because she lives in that neighborhood, and we'll make sure that he's up at grandma's and can get to school. So I mean, and that happens more than I would have ever expected it to. But I think that's part of that 59,000 number.
I certainly didn't want to I wanted to more present you with what the metrics are.
Right, yeah.
The part of, parents are doing the best they can, right?
Oh,
So
sure.
that's, so that it's not any judgment about parents that move one time or five, it makes no difference. But I think the mental gymnastics on the transportation side of it only increase with the more mobility that you have within the system, which is the policy. It's a educational and a policy decision about at what point do you say no?
Right.
And
Well, there's the whole correlation between the proximity of school and parent involvement as well. And so I don't know if the conversation even has to start at transportation. It could be, if the priority is to get community and parent involvement in the schools, what has to happen to make that a reality? And one of the things is transportation. But
Yeah, from what Katerina has said, they've had a lot more parent involvement at 17 since they got the local student enrollment up for the earlier grades. And
right.
so that, there are a lot of...
Going out into the community with people going door to door, providing information about the school.
Mm-hmm.
Different than the one story, the mother of somebody at school 17, and they said, well, you should come into the school. She goes, well, where is the school?
You literally have 7 families on this street that are within a driver's sandwich of this building and get bused to 7 different schools.
Mm-hmm.
And they're literally right on Post Ave. So it's people make choices based on a whole variety of reasons, but
Sure.
And if you live right next door to the school and you make a choice to go somewhere else, there's probably other reasons that have to be more fully investigated in order to find out the answer as to why.
Yeah, we need to get the 19th Ward, to be really proactive at trying to get local participation at the school. The first day of school, I was walking over because some of the 19th Ward folks were going to be greeting the kids as they came in, and I live 2 blocks away from the school. I get the end of my block, and there's parents are out in front putting their kids on a school bus to go heaven knows where. I don't know if they even knew that the school had reopened, but they probably had started somewhere else, and it kind of starts on where can we send them that they'll be bused for the safety's sake.
Well, the 17 model is the way to go, right? To kind of be the advocacy within the neighborhood and then advocate within the placement office to set aside those seats. And then once you have that, it's whether it's a 3-year, whether you do a K3 or whether you do it, or you whether you just do it 1 year at a time. Not my decision to make per se, but that, being able to do it more grade levels at a time allows you really to expedite.
Mm-hmm.
And you really want to find out the families that are living in the neighborhood, attending other schools, and somewhat target those families with your recruitment efforts. And that data is pretty readily available. I don't know the nature of the confidentiality of that part of it, but certainly that's the core audience you want to take, and then you decide what grade levels and
Yeah, if there's any way for us to get contact information for other neighborhood groups that we can partner with in terms of pushing, be it the petition we've got going now or just driving towards getting more local neighborhood involvement in the schools, because we're getting some contact with some folks over in the School 33 East High area there that we'll try to follow up on. But we really need to make sure that it's not just this group that's agitating for that, but
My only suggestion would be to make it a little bit bigger than just one school.
Mhm.
So you've got school 10 that's right down the street, you've got school 44 that's in this area, you've got school 19 is another.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have 4 neighborhoods kind of getting together and kind of coming up with some sort of a town meeting concept where Houston have the schools kind of advocate for their school 29, not to leave out of the equation, but certainly that whatever that might be, you might even gain a little more momentum on that. This is how our schools are great. We're going to renovate these buildings. Whatever you can use in terms of selling it, I think that might be.
yeah, I think School 19 is one that we've talked with the principal there, and she's very, pro community involvement, and
Fantastic.
she's really great. And we're going to have there are some issues in that it isn't just the 19th Ward there. You've got Swan and you've got Plex that we need to get to work with the school, but that's, I think, an area where you could also...
Just a suggestion. And the 17 is a bit unique because there's not really another school really close enough, so you have a pretty good perimeter with which to kind of reach out. And so here they're a little more, in this area, they're a little more closer together. So there's a natural overlap. If you did the 1.5 mile circle around every building, then you'd end up with a Venn diagram in terms of how they would... So it's a bit of
Well, I
a...
think all the schools are encompassed within 1.5 miles from here, including 17.
Yeah,
If you actually drew that actual
So
circle.
we've done it.
Yeah.
We've done it.
Yeah, here's,
The whole 19th Ward is subsumed.
1.5 miles is a long way.
yeah, it's incredible when you look at what 1.5 miles.
And that may be another advocacy piece, that 1.5 miles in Rochester isn't realistic, that it's much more realistic to be 0.5 mile. I actually work out of my truck, so just the way the nature of the work that I do. So that cell number is the best number to reach me at.
Oh, okay.
The only caveat I say is that if it's an emergency call, right? If you have a situation that we really need support on, then I'm more than happy to provide some level of assistance. But, if you just want to say hello, maybe text me.
One more question. Is there anything going on at the district level to update some of these studies for busing? How much would you save if you did
Not
mostly
currently, no.
neighborhood? Because you're getting a lot of data out of School 17 and some of the other schools that could be added.
At this moment in time, there's not a current study ongoing. That's not to say we couldn't build on some of the earlier ones.
Sure. Okay.
But we're very much in favor of moving all the kids, but it's just got to come up with a way to do it
Yeah.
that's fiscally responsible. And
Yeah, well, we'll...
so, hope I helped.
Oh, you did. Thank you. Really appreciate
Invite you
it.
back anytime. All right.
Thanks as always, Mike.
Nice to see you as well. Really nice to see you again, Mrs. Overseas. Pleasure to meet you. Are you very well? Yep. Is this on or off? Because I'm going to hug you.
Oh, you can hug me.
Thank
you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Nice pleasure meeting you. Thanks for what you've done, my friend. All right.
Sounds good to see you, brother.
You too. I'll probably see you tomorrow.
I'm sure you will.
Good night.
Nice, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see what we can do. I talked to Zola today. She couldn't make it tonight. When we were at at the meeting with Katerina, she suggested that we touch base with Daisy Algarin, who I just happened to be at a meeting with the other day. It turned out the CET meeting got canceled, and we were there with her and we had John McMahon from the NSC, but Katerina's suggestion was for us to get the NSC to work with us and work with Daisy to try to get this community, city, school district partnership going, and maybe try to get the mayor to support the local busing issue, because that would be a big help if we can get her on board. And one of the things that was on the second local busing initiative there was we need to get support. We'd like to get the superintendent and the mayor on board with the results we're getting from this study. So, and there are a lot of things, the fact that we're talking about having School 19 having to work with Swan and Plex, and whatever other groups are involved there, there's some neighborhood building efforts that are going to be necessary there. So, what else we got? We have School 29 while we're here, Joe. Do you want to...
Yes, we've been speaking a lot about something that we're going to be doing in our school. Let me start off with it's called a Little Lending Library. What's the library called in the
Little
corner?
free library?
Little Free Library, yes.
Okay, so we have some good report on that. So our custodian Mike has fixed it. He's made sure that the delamination's been done. I made sure he spoke to the librarian today. We opened it today. Figured we got at least think it might be spring eventually. So he put some books in it. And I know I've had discussions with some of the neighbors, again, community outreach, being a good neighbor. So that big pile of rocks that the city just doesn't want to pick up, now there's stuff growing out of it. Mike's going to get his pickaxe out there, chop it all up. There's a lot of good stone there, and he's going to spread it around the little path. I already spoke with some of our kindergarten classes and their teachers, and they're going to get out there and try to plant some flowers, and Mike's going to continue to keep up with the maintenance of it. So that's going to be something. But we're on to a bigger project right now. The budget is driven by numbers, and School 29 is, it's not been finalized yet, but I'm still going to say this. You can leave the camera. I'm practicing my speech. It's going to probably face some serious budget cuts driven by numbers, and we get that. Okay, we totally get that. There's some things that I wrote as a document for the superintendent about safety, and our children are multiply disabled, and we need, at least administrators available in case emergencies come up. So, there's equity in the district, and they talk about a lot. Equality is you cut every school based on their numbers. Equity is you look at the school and find out what their needs are. So that's a different fight. But what we're going to do, one of the things we can control, and you mentioned this about enrollment, is our kindergarten. Right now, numbers are going to drive kindergarten. Right now, we have 2 classes, and this year our numbers are down. And we're going to go along with some of the things you said, be proactive, get out in the neighborhood, try to find families, and we're going to send things home with our children. We have to come up with about 30 to 40. Yeah, you have a pre-K child. I was thinking about that when you said something. Do you have a place for him to go to kindergarten already?
Well, he'll likely go to the same school as his sister.
That's what a lot of
because
families
it's hard to be involve parents in multiple schools,
Yes.
but yeah.
So we're hoping that we can mine some gold in the neighborhood. The kids are going to take home things in their backpacks. But we're going to do things even a little more creatively. We have a resident artist in our building. He's one of our paraprofessional staff members. If you ever get a chance, come over to our school. John, I think he's been over recently. But he's painted the hallway of famous Americans. We made sure to represent our students' backgrounds, our student genders. We're really proud of it. A lot of our doors have been decorated. So we're going to build 2 good old-fashioned sandwich boards, the 4x8 pieces of plywood, and he's going to paint both of them. And one's going to be on the corner of Kirkwood and Kenwood. And I can just put it there without permission or something, John? Or do I have to go to talk to somebody at the city for 3
John
months?
McMahon and James Demps at the NSC office would be my first. Yeah,
So I
at
get
the
permission
NSC office.
What's that stand for?
Neighborhood Service Center.
Okay.
923 Genesee Street.
Wow, is that where we have our meetings?
Yes.
I'll go right in and talk to them.
Yeah.
Because on the corner of Ardmore and Charlotte is a traffic light there. We're going to put another sandwich board there. And it's basically going to advertise School 29 in good standing, looking for kindergarten students. Call our number for a tour, and we're going to have people come in. And Mike probably doesn't want to say this, but I'll say this in the camera. It's not a big thing. There is a little secret that if you get children who are very young, once the dust settles, and I've had moms and dads call me, if I reach out to the good people at the placement office, it may take the busing department. They will give buses to children who live less than 1.5 miles, safety factors, things of that nature. Because where those children live, like just throw a street at you, if they live over on Jefferson, and that's not Hawley, all those Flynn, all those streets, buses will come right near those streets to bring our other children here, and they can add a child to the bus line without any extra cost.
Right.
And they worry about bringing them home. We are late school, so our children all get a ride home on the bus. Point of the conversation is where you get expensive is the buses can't go for long routes. And where do the long routes come from? They come from driving across town to drop the kids off.
Mm-hmm.
So if a parent is hesitant about their child getting to school safely, we can get the bus for them. Did you tell me or somebody at this meeting, I heard from somebody, the walking school bus, anybody talk about that?
Yeah.
He
So
was
what,
talking about the walker
that's a
buses.
community thing too, so let's.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's different than the walker buses.
The walking school bus means someone
Walking
brings the
school
kids to
bus.
school, so they're safe coming to school, so
Oh,
parents
okay.
don't have to worry about them.
Yeah.
And so if we're gonna recruit in the 19th ward, and we're not gonna be able to get like what 17 has, we just wanna do that this year. So we're not sitting back, we wanna get that 35 to 40 children, get 2 sections, and build relationships with the parents, and that's what we're gonna do. So you'll see, I'm gonna talk about the sandwich board signs, and we're gonna put them out there on those 2 spots. And you see the bollards are blue and yellow. We're gonna get the kids are gonna be out there decorating them and painting them. The older children will go on the corner of Charlie and Ardmore, so a little more traffic.
Mhm.
The other children will be out there. We're talking about that. It's again, the community loves that. So we're building community with the neighbors and stuff, and we'll get around John and John, who were saying, and we're gonna go out and actually recruit families. I think we can get 35 to 40. One of the numbers I'm gonna start with are our pre-K kids who haven't joined a school yet. A lot of times when we're finding parents go, I'm gonna go to this charter school. This South Zone, Southwest has really gotten hit hard by the charter schools enrollment. Kids sometimes they come back. So what we're trying to do with parents is hedge your bets, enroll your child in 29. We hope you want to stay. Hopefully we get them in. They see the school. It's a very unique school. Students with multiple disabilities in a wonderful, inclusive environment. Very pleasant environment for children to grow up in and get life experiences every day. And they watch children in wheelchairs every day, and they see how they live and stuff. So that's my little elevator speech. But we're gonna get to 35 or 40, and that will, budget deficit or not, we'll keep 2 kindergarten sections. That's one thing we can control. We can't control some of the other stuff.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And our school will go die in the vine if we don't do this. I mean, we already have a pyramid effect where our top classes are small, and we're going to lose some staff. It's just a bit, it's right sided. We can't control, but we can control kindergarten. So that's what we're going to focus on. That's my story.
Good. Yeah, that's what we've got to work on to get it so that you can grow the school out as a neighborhood school.
Okay.
And we need to get in touch with young people who have kids
Yep.
and who see the value of building the neighborhood. The 19th Ward Community Association should have a much more diverse. I sit at the Delegates Council, and it's a lot better than it was, but it's still, we could stand a few more brown faces around that table. It would be more representative of the community, and we have to work towards that. And we have to try to get young families involved in the association. It's a symbiotic, from my perspective, it's symbiotic between the schools and the community. Whether it's an official association like the 19th Ward has, or more loosely, if you have a good school and parents and it has a good reputation so that people are willing to move into that neighborhood because, that school is really well known, then the whole neighborhood thrives. And you get more people involved in the organizations, and the school benefits because, you've got a resurgent neighborhood. So.
Can I say something real quick about that?
Yep.
1979, I started at Wilson Mag in 1981. I did some research on magnet schools for my graduate work, and the 19th Ward Community Association, I don't know if the people are still with us, they really drove that change. And one of the things they said was, we had very few buses at Wilson when I was there in 1981, very few. The 19th Ward and the 14611, I'm not sure, 3rd Ward I think it is, across the street, because Genesee's those children, the families in those neighborhoods have precedence to go to Wilson Mag High School, and that drove that change. Parents were there. And that's the that spirit of the 19th Ward. I read the original document, 1979. It was very impressive. So we can do that. I want 29 to be one of those places, one of those beacons in the neighborhood. So we're going to continue working at. But we need 2 kindergarten classes. So we're starting with that. It has to happen this year.
Yeah, we this year we have to continue this, is try to get the teachers more involved with the association.
That's
also.
sorry, that was a good email.
And we didn't quite get there this time, but we're going to be working with them again over the summer.
Let me use a carrot on that and say, John will say, staff, we have some really motivated neighborhood people from both groups here. Let's get to start stepping out a little bit, get a relationship started with them. Maybe this will be this project to get more kindergarten kids for our school. Maybe this is the way we begin getting more staff involved.
Yeah, this year was terrible given all the receivership issues, which just put every school under the gun. But hopefully we'll get past that in the coming year here.
So I'm also part of the Rotary Southwest,
Yes,
as
so
you
am I.
are. And that's what the Rotary is all about, is service.
Good. That's right.
And so we're looking to do a project every month. Why wouldn't one of the projects be walking the streets with you?
Perfect. Excellent. I'm
know,
on it.
bringing that up.
We see each other all the time, so it's good.
I'm always looking for new members.
I don't mean to go backwards, but could you talk more about the walking bus?
Walking
How does
school bus. You identify some parents in the neighborhood or just residents.
Volunteers.
Yeah, volunteers who walk the kids to school.
That's
and they
awesome.
pick up, isn't it?
I didn't even know
I
we were
love
doing
that
It was
idea.
originally done.
Oh, we
I
tried.
heard it
but-
this meeting. Some of you guys mentioned it.
19.
I didn't make that. I think one of you guys made it.
No, my wife was on the committee.
Okay, I mean, you said that.
For
Good.
the American Heart Association,
Just trying to
US.
give you the
14
15-minute warning.
14.
Okay.
We'd love to talk faster then.
And
Is there still a group that does this?
Well,
that was sort of national.
Uh-huh.
That was national in terms of, because the nurses were doing the walking and nursing students were doing
Gotcha.
the walking. And it was up for every other location to implement their own version of that. It's sort of like backpack program for food. It's a national program. Food Link does a lot here, and locally we do 3 schools. The swim.
Yeah, Healthy Kids was working on that. Eric Steffens and Jen Vitamin were involved in it. I know I walked the area where they were looking at doing it at School 19, and they also worked with School 10 trying to identify routes that would be good to do this on. Big problem you have is when everybody is taking a bus across town, there aren't many kids in the immediate neighborhood of the school to line up for doing the walking school buses.
Start with
So-
kindergarten, though. That's the goal. You got to mind that goal, John. Because they haven't chosen yet.
Yeah,
Let them choose
so
one of the 19.
if we can get them, certainly if you can get them to, but of course, kindergarten, it depends on where the parents are going to be available to, send them off. If they could, one of the problems you run into is parents are trying to get out of the house to get to work.
Yeah, right.
And
You need the wraparound.
so the wraparound transportation, once you've got them going to the neighborhood school, then you can start looking at setting up the walking school bus and have enough density in the school area to do that. And then you can basically get all those kids weaned off of busing.
Could you be mining them from the Head Starts? Like there's one on Jefferson.
Could be.
There's one by Oasis.
I'm taking all ideas.
Yeah. I think you should
I'm going to be persistent with this one.
hit them because that's pre-K.
I really think that one of the best lists to get is the one the pre-K child who's not enrolled in kindergarten yet.
Mhm.
And if the parent tells me I'm going to put them in charter school, then my next thing's going to be, well, sign up in school 29 anyway. If something happens,
And at least look at it.
at least look at us.
Don't just go by.
Right. And we have, one thing we have that's also a goal of mine, this is why I was on leave for my surgery and stuff, is your pre-Ks tend to be neighborhood people because it's easier for them to get there. Because there's no transportation. There you go again, there's no transportation. They get bus passes, but it's a lot easier. So a lot of our pre-K parents walk the kids to school. So those folks are really gold mines because they're already into school. And I tried to meet more of them this year because we're going to try everything we can. It sounds, it's doable. We're just not going to let up till we get 40 kids and then we can relax. And then over the summer we'll get more kids anyways. My guess is, okay, as we get 40 and 5 or charter parents and their kid doesn't come, you know you're gonna get 15 more, it's 25 per class in kindergarten. You know 15 more children are gonna come over the summer anyway, so that's all. But this is a good thing, so you guys, you might hear more from me, but
Great.
I'm not letting go of this one. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
So I was
Sorry, it's
new
okay.
to like
Go ahead.
infrastructure and education, but I'm wondering if there are other like cities that sort of have switched over to this more community model where you're having more local enrollment, parent involvement, and that we could benchmark. I'm just thinking,
Yeah,
what
I'm
does
sure
it
there's
look
case
like? If
studies
it's
out
Yeah, there should be some others around. I don't know if we haven't really been in touch with any others. We can check with. Katarina probably has a good handle on what's going on at some of the other schools, and I'll check a bit with Cecilia too. She should have a good feel for it.
Ann Kress is still vice president of MCC. I was on a committee one time. We were doing something for about where you have like we have the group that has the medical clinic right next to here, and it's a whole neighborhood thing where the medical facilities there, all the wraparound care for the families is all there. It was in Cincinnati. You're looking at one model, and I give her a lot of credit. It was a very ambitious project. But I represented the state school district with another principal, but there's just so many people on the committee. It kind of fell apart into itself. But Ann Kress was doing something very similar that I was a part of about 5 years ago. So that's a possible name, and if you can reach out to her, she might be interested in the community model, and a small scale or something. 'Cause it was very ambitious, but it was just like too many people. Kind of fell into that stuff.
But if we could maybe hone in on 29, because
Please home right in.
you're connected to the Rotary, and the Rotary wants to expand, and as the Rotary expands, this could be like a focal. I mean, why not throw everything into one? Although we also, School 19 is usually here also.
Yeah.
We can split that, but I think, because really what's nice is that's one school in the west half of the southwest quadrant, and one in the east half of the southwest quadrant.
Good.
And I say we go with the ones that are coming here to this meeting and working with us.
Sounds good. We'll go back to the question. I'll make sure we follow up on that because that's something very important. So the community is more involved because you have everything there in the community. Yes, it's a big thing. That's what they did in Cincinnati. It really helped whole neighborhood, revitalized them and everything.
And really the issue of transportation, when you think of busing, I work with a child now who's at 16 but living on Webster, near 33 school. So it's very confusing, and I think obviously you cut costs when children are going to neighborhood schools. I grew up in Brooklyn. You went to neighborhood school. You walked to, it was reasonably to walk to school. So that's a different conversation.
Yeah, it's it makes so much more sense. Even if you had busing to neighborhood schools,
Because if you're
you
grabbing
miss the
kids on
bus,
your
you
way
can you can walk in.
Right.
Yeah, but it's cheaper because you're filling the buses like you're just, it's so fast. You're grabbing all the kids. You might be grabbing 4 or 5 on one street, and you get right to school, and the bus is full, and then that's cost effective. Less buses, less bus drivers.
Well, the one benchmarking thing that the one committee did, the Great Schools for All.
Okay.
Well, that was with Raleigh, North Carolina, that did a lot of busing.
Yeah, they had real integration where they were.
Well,
bringing-
they also they don't have a county that's basically just don't come near us kind of a thing. To be blunt.
Yeah, we have such a unique situation in that we have such segregated suburbs and such high child poverty, and a continued bombardment by the media to keep pushing the narrative that RCSD is horrible.
I think Marshall's I read somewhere the 5th most segregated place in America or something. It's up there.
It's way up there.
It's
Rochester?
Rochester.
Yeah.
It wasn't shocking. I believe it. It was pretty high.
Yeah, it kind
Monroe
of.
County.
Monroe County,
Monroe County.
Monroe
Yeah.
County.
One of the most segregated counties in the country.
Yeah, it.
We've lost most of our friends our age that have just said,
They're moving.
like, oh, well, the kids are going to be in kindergarten, so we have to move. And they're like, you have to move? That's just the narrative.
Yeah.
Or to come and see about, the committee was having here going on the meetings once a month, and I told him I would. I said I didn't know if I would have any input of importance, being just a ex-Kodak worker and a monitor, but he said, well, he said, come and see anyhow, see if you fit, feel comfortable about it, and any input I had, then,
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
A lot to offer. Life experiences,
Yep.
taxpayer,
Yep.
working man, a lot to offer. Welcome aboard, glad you're here.
Yeah, I hope we'll see you again, and we've got a lot of things, a lot of insights to share, and I remember working at Kodak. I was in 65 and 69 there, corner of Ridge and Dewey, overlooking School 41, and had many a conversation with fellow Kodakers about the city school district, and just recently here, School 41 went through a receivership thing and ended up in state receivership and just got raked over the coals.
Okay, I got 3.
Yes.
Shut up.
You.
Youth Build is recruiting. Youth Build is a construction program for 17 to 24-year-olds over here on Lincoln Street, and we work with teaching them construction and then placing them in jobs. And they're recruiting for their next cohort. The Rochester Rotary meets the first and third Thursdays of every month. The first Thursday they meet at Staybridge, and you get a free breakfast. Really nice. And then the third Thursday they meet at the NSC office, the Neighborhood Service Center. So their focus is on serving. Their motto is service above self. And so I think it would be a good way, because it taps into larger funds. And so we're trying to figure out how can we address neighborhood issues using the Rotary. And then Oasis is a technical institute that is having a community engagement breakfast on April 3rd, and Narlene Reagans is the contact person for that. And the last thing that wasn't addressed on here, John, the CET meeting update.
Yeah.
Should they just go to location Southwest?
Yeah, the CET meetings, they've been going well. We've sat in on all of we've been at all the meetings. Sometimes we'd cover one and the other if they were the same night. But I think we've been trying to establish working relationships with the principals and the folks on the CET boards, CET teams, and hopefully that will help us get things moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's really to see how the different schools are handling the process. Are there better ways or bigger ways of how you get there? And it's not a really well-defined process.
No.
Not by the time it got to the principals. And beyond that, there was
And it was so
what do you
rushed.
think we should really do, right? And I think it's way too short of a schedule
Yeah.
for what they want to do.
What they want them to do.
What do you want at the end of this to come out with? You don't have enough time to do a quality input for it, I don't think. Some people might, but it would take a hell of a team.
Well, you're still trying to run your school and teach and do well, and
Oh, yeah.
now you're spending the time putting a plan together, which takes more time, and
Yeah.
it impacts your teaching and time with your children. So yes, it's not a good process.
School 19 was in the news today.
Yeah, what happened there?
There was a person who was hired as a special ed teacher whose background didn't show a felony when he had,
Mm-hmm.
so he's gone.
That happens all over the place. That happens a lot more than in the city, but we get the prominent headlines.
Right, that was my issue.
I mean, you got pedophiles over in the county and the rural areas. There's like a little article in the city. It's a headline on the first page of the paper. It's frustrating.
So we need you, Babcock.
Keep coming.
Yeah.
So there's
Get your friends here
Can I
too.
make a quick plug on the way out? There's a really great resource that Kristen actually found, integratedschools.org, and it does a lot of the discussion around like reintegrating schools, but also as people of privilege reintegrated them without colonizing them, and it's there's all sorts of like lists of great books that are about this that are relate to a lot of the stuff we're talking about, and they have a podcast that's fun to listen to too. So just throwing it out
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
The nice thing is it's like a national network, and so you can connect with people that are doing this kind of thing in Denver.
Right, to your point, like.
Yeah,
what are,
right.
Like sort of sharing those best practices. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Kathy and I met with the, who's the guy for the paper?
Justin Murphy.
No, his boss, the editor.
For the other. Yeah. Oh, we're getting evicted.